Hey there, guys. It's Mike Goldstein with the Crushing with Kitchen Remodeling podcast. And we are so excited today to have with us one of the foremost experts in all of authorpreneurship, as it might be, Chris Hunter from roofingsites.com. And we're going to talk to Chris, learn all about all of that great stuff of writing a book, how to use it, how to promote it, how to use the promotion to get yourself more leads, more consultations. We're going to do that just after this.
Are you looking for some fresh ideas to jumpstart your kitchen remodeling business? Welcome to the Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling podcast. Your host, Michael Goldstein, founder of Kitchen Remodeling SEO, the digital marketing agency working exclusively with kitchen remodeling contractors, and also the author of the ultimate internet marketing guide for kitchen remodeling contractors, will provide insights on proven tips and strategies from top experts in this space, so that you can take advantage of industry best practices. Your host, Michael Goldstein. Join Mike as he shares his knowledge each week with an insightful interview or educational segment about how to turn your online marketing efforts into more kitchen remodeling leads and sales opportunities than ever before.
All right, and we're back, and we're going to bring in with us right now, Chris Hunter. Hey, Chris, how the heck are you?
Doing awesome, man. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. So much better now that you're here. We are so excited. I've been waiting for a week to have this conversation. Couldn't wait to do it. But, Chris, you and I, we've known each other for a while, right? But my listeners may not know actually what a privilege it is to have you here. So for those of us who haven't had the opportunity to meet you, who are you and what the heck is it that you do?
So my name is Chris Hunter, and I own roofingsites.com, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of roofingsites.com. I'm also the author of the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. And I have been doing this marketing gig for, oh my gosh, I'm going to really date myself. I think in 1998 is when I built my first website and got it ranked on Yahoo. And then when Google came around, I started focusing on Google. And then around 2005, we started offering SEO services to our clients because they were literally begging us to do that. We started focusing on the roofing industry in 2018, and just really haven't looked back since then. We do have a legacy agency called Marketing Heroes, but our primary focus on everything is roofingsites.com.
That's fantastic. And as a result, I mean, obviously what you're looking to do is you want to talk to as many roofing contractors and roofing company owners as possible, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So, I know there's lots of ways that you probably go about trying to get people to talk to you the same way that, we do here at Kitchen Remodeling SEO, and this Facebook ads, there's SEO, there's networking events, there's trade shows, there's all this different stuff out there, right? But one of kind of the newer, hotter, trending topics really seems to be becoming an authority in your space, becoming the most well-known, whatever it is that you do, anything from CPA to garbage removal specialists, right? I mean, and everything in between. And how do you do that? I think one of the best ways is to become the authority is to write the book on it. I mean, how many times have you heard, yep, he wrote the book on that, right? So in your case, you actually wrote the book on roofing marketing.
Right. Absolutely.
So how did you really get interested? Like what drove you to write that book? And, what was your inspiration to do this?
Well, there's a little bit of a backstory behind all of that. And a lot of that is that I had a friend in the IT industry that had a book and was getting an amazing amount of clients, by simply having that book, he wrote the book on IT, and so he got together actually with several other, IT business owners. They're managed service providers is what they're called. And they put a book together. Each of them took like a chapter and just strictly just went along that and built this really awesome book. They used it as a calling card, right? Basically for every speaking gig that they did, any time that they were out and about in their community, they would hand it out, give it away basically, right? And it turned into this authority piece for them that made them the key people in that community. And so I started thinking along those lines, and this was probably about 5-6 years ago that happened, but I started thinking along those lines, well, why don't I do that? Right. And so 5-6 years ago, I started writing my book, and I tell you what, it is so hard. It's so stinking hard to write a book, and especially about something that is a complete moving target. I mean, the marketing industry changes an awful lot, and so it's really, really hard to write a book on marketing, because by the time that you actually publish that book, let's say that you wrote a chapter on Facebook. Well, guess what? Facebook changes every single week. So it's really hard to actually, get that published in a timely manner. And that's what I was facing, is that as a business owner, you wear a lot of hats, right? And you get pulled in so many different directions. And so I would write a little bit, and then it would sit there. And then I'd go back to it a month or two later and like, oh man, I got to rewrite that whole thing. Facebook has changed, or Google has changed, or, all of these different mediums have changed, so I kept having to go back to that time and time again. And really it came down to about a year ago that I finally just buckled down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this done. This is my rock for my quarter, right? This is my one thing I'm going to accomplish this.
The rocks. Do I sense an EOS trend coming in here a little?
Oh yeah, I'm a big EOS geek, man. But so I that was my rock for quarter one of 2022, was to finish the darn book, right? So I sat there and I blocked out time every single day to write for an hour every single day, and that's all I did, and made sure that I got it done. Now, I probably in retrospect wrote way too much, right? It ended up being 336 pages. But I should have probably pulled that back to about 150, but there's a lot of stuff in my brain, I guess, that I had to get out, and, but for sure, it's hard to write a book. It's really hard to write a book,
The interesting thing is when you wrote the book, and I've written one too, so I feel the pain. I know the struggle there. There was this little piece of software that didn't actually exist back then. This thing everyone's heard of called ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I think that might be able to provide a little bit of assistance nowadays. I know, we've got a lot of AI tools out there. We've got Jarvis, Jasper, whatever the heck it's called now.
Yeah.
We have On-Page IO and all these different things. But I want, if you use the tools to help you organize, I think it's a lot easier. The other thing that I found when I was writing was sitting there and actually writing is really hard. Mm-hmm. Talking about what you want to write is really easy. Yep. And what I ended up doing was I actually just recorded myself talking for 2-3 hours, and transcribed it, and it was my book. And then obviously, you had to get you pay an editor to get all
Yep.
like this, that kind of thing, right? But I mean, there are so many ways you can go about doing it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if people listen to this and they're thinking, oh my God, 300 pages I got to write. There's a lot of ways to write a book. It's not just sitting in front of Word and hammering it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I was going to do it over again, and I probably will, because I'm thinking about writing a book on search engine optimization, so if I do that, I'm going to do exactly what you said, because, I think it was one of our mentors that told us that little hack there, right? Is that, just speak into the camera and let someone else edit that, right? And put it into a book format, right?
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what are some of the key insights and strategies that you share in your book? And really, how can somebody in the home services space use those to help generate authority when they write their book?
Well, so what I talk about in my book is my marketing system that we've used for pretty close to 20 years, right? And we call it the 4R marketing system, right? And in that system, you've got reputation as one of the pillars, reach as another pillar, resell as another pillar, and referral. So, how can you use that? That's a great question. I don't know if you can use that, for writing a book, but if
gaining authority, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if you're going to write a book about something, right, write it about your system. I think about how you do things, and name it something and keep it pretty easy to remember, right? Not just for you, but for the people reading it, and that way they can take something away from it. I think, from your book.
Sure. One of the other things I like about books, and call me a child if you want, but I like pictures, right? I like to see illustrations and things that kind of break it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, with, again, going back to all the AI tools out there, with Midjourney, especially with DALL-E and all this stuff, it's easy to kind of get really creative with kind of how you illustrate your ideas too. So that can help you stand out a little bit. But is there anything that you could think of, that somebody in the home services, whether it's in roofing, whether it's in kitchen remodeling or anything in between, how they can use a book that they write to differentiate themselves from their competitors?
Absolutely. So I was thinking about this this morning, right, in kind of preparation for this, and I think that if I were a home remodeler, okay, the book that I would write would literally be a coffee table book, right? And you just simply take the pictures of your past projects and put it into, the ultimate remodeling or the dream home, whatever that you want to name it, but have it to where someone is proud and happy to put that on their coffee table, and I think that would really differentiate you pretty much from any other contractor in your entire area, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even better, let's take a page out of the Seinfeld world here. If you're going to write a coffee table book, how about let's make it into a coffee table too? Right? Yeah. We'll pop up with different parts of your 3D modeling.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't help myself. Every time I hear someone say coffee table, I get the Kramer in my head.
Kramer. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So once you've got the book and you have something, you have a tool now to help you gain authority. You got to get people to actually know that it's out there. So I know that you've used your book obviously to generate a lot of interest in yourself. What platforms have you found most helpful to have people find the book outside of just putting it on Amazon and going on a wish and a prayer that people are going to search for it?
Well, yeah, and what's interesting is that I get a few sales through Amazon, but the vast majority of the sales come through Facebook ads. Right. So I run a Facebook ad that's targeted towards roofing company owners, right? That says, hey, come and get my book. And it takes them to a funnel page that then they can actually sign up to get that book. Okay. But I think that is one of the most effective ways. And it's really not too expensive. I think we're paying $33 a day, to run those ads. And I know that I get in between 5 and 10 signups every single day, right? Since we've been running those ads on roofing company owners. Now, the cool part about that for me is that actually puts them into my funnel and puts them into my email database, right? And if you don't have a database, I would highly recommend that you start building that database now. If you're listening to this, you're listening to Mike's podcast here, I think that you really should be putting that forefront. And I think that the punctuation mark on that was the COVID lockdown, right? Most businesses that in all industries wide that didn't have a database really super got hit during that time period, so be doing anything and everything that you can to build your database of people that would need your services, right, and want your services.
And I would even take it a step further than that, is build the database, but set up some sort of a long-term nurture sequence so that you're leveraging that database. And and it's interesting because as I'm thinking about, Chris, your email, and especially your email signature. And I know on it you got right at the very end, P.S. check out the book. I mean, you don't miss a beat. Every chance there is to promote you as the authority, as the guy. If you were in the roofing industry, you got to talk to Chris Hunter. There's no ifs, ands, there's no buts about it. There is nobody bigger. There's nobody better. And you let them know that in the in every channel that you have. So that's another thing that, have you found that, just by using your database and leveraging those emails and things like that, people get more interested, and then do they find, is it that they find the book and you're more authoritative because of that? Or is it that they talk to you and, oh, you have a book, I'd love to read it? I mean, it's all
Well,
that, right?
I've used it both ways, right? I've used it with people that I'm meeting with. I'm like, have you read my book? They're like, what book? And I'm like, oh, you mean this book right here, The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. Have you read the 330? Have you gotten that yet? They're like, no. Can I get that? I'm like, absolutely. I'll even autograph it and send it to you. So absolutely. I think it's just almost one of the ultimate leverage pieces, right, that you can use in your business. And honestly, since I published it, I only published it in June of last year. So we're not even a year into this being published. And, it has garnered me lots of interest. I have used it as a calling card with my Dream 100 list. And I think that any kitchen remodeler that is listening to this, you could do the same thing, right? Write the book, build the book, whatever that you want to do with that, and then send it out to your Dream 100 list, right? So what's your Dream 100? Well, those are your Dream 100 clients that you want to work with. So target a neighborhood, right? Target the neighborhood that you want to work in and send your book out to them as a calling card. Literally, it costs $5 off of Amazon Kindle publishing. I think $6 and change, for mine to get it shipped to me, grand total. And using Amazon, the Postal Service mail. What is it called?
Priority mail?
No.
I don't know what
I should know this off the top of my head. I look at it all the time. Anyways, they have an author mail basically that you can ship a book out for a lot cheaper, right? So I use ShipStation in order to do that, and I shipped it out to all 100 of my Dream 100 list, and then I've got my folks calling that Dream 100 list, right, as a follow-up. Hey, did you get the book? So that's led to a lot of conversations, and really that's what you're looking for, is to get the conversations going and to be the authority in your community, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, not only that, I imagine, you're going to the roofing trade show, and you're going to all of these different, and how great is it you have to take, hey, by the way, I wrote the book here on kitchen remodeling SEO.
Yeah.
If you want to know how to leverage your Google ads, this is what you got to do. All you got to do is kind of go through it. And I hand that out at trade shows, and people gobble that up. They say, wow, you wrote this? Really?
Yeah.
And the astonishment in people's eyes, like, you actually took the time to write that. You must really know what you're talking about.
Bingo. Right.
That's the thing. Like, and honestly, that's what I'm saying. Even if you have to use ChatGPT, even if you have to use Bard, is that what Google's calling it now? Bard, I think.
Bard with a D. Bard, not Bart.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even if you have to use one of those, it gives you that instant credibility and that just sense of astonishment of, oh my God, you actually did this. You took the time. I've got to read it. And I'll tell you, I was out at the kitchen and bath trade show in Vegas about a month or so ago, and I gave away a couple hundred of these books at the trade show. Yeah. And I got at no less than a dozen people emailed me basically, saying, hey, was on the plane, read your book on the way back, and they asked me questions with something in it. And that, it's such forget about the fact that, it's a great way to generate business. It's such a great feeling to know that people are actually listening to what you say or what you wrote, and they want to have a conversation. And that's the whole idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's literally making you stand apart from everybody else. That's really what it's all about.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, if you're in the home services, you're like, how do you take that book to build relationships to, and the relationships are going to become potential clients. They can help you establish credibility. These are some of the keys that you can use this for. It's not just a vanity item, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a license plate. It's not a billboard. This is actually something you're adding value to people's lives with it too.
For sure. Absolutely.
So let me ask you, knowing that you've gone through this whole process, what advice would you give someone who's considering writing a book about their industry? like, how do they get started?
Well, one, decide to do it. I think that making the decision to actually do it is the biggest part of it, right? And
Mhm.
getting the mindset that I'm going to do this, right? And instead of putting it off. Second, block it out on your calendar, right? Put it into your calendar that I'm going to write 2 pages a day, right? Whatever that it is, whatever that you decide on there. And then to start, I would build your outline of the book. Okay. Um, I mean, just everything that we were taught in English class, in fifth grade is build the outline and then write inside of that outline.
Mhm.
Okay. And I don't know if they teach that to kids in school these days. I don't know, but I know what I was taught, and that's how I was taught to write a paper. So it's the same thing. Outline it, write it.
Well, it's funny you say that because, how many times did we sit in geometry class and say, when the hell am I ever going to use this? And I definitely remember saying that in English class in fifth grade. And that's exactly when I learned how to outline. And it's funny because everything in life I do now, everything in business, it starts with an outline.
Yeah,
So guys, like, pay attention to what you learned in elementary school. Don't
exactly.
dismiss it so easily, right?
Right,
Um,
right, for sure.
no, but that's really funny you said like that. So what do you think are some of the biggest benefits though? So you're going to go ahead and write it, but what is the benefit that you have seen from writing the book? Outside of just obviously that you're saying you're getting 9, 10
Mhm.
appointments a week or whatnot. Outside of that, what else are you seeing?
I think it's just getting more attention, and it's really hard in this day and age to get attention and to keep that attention. Um, I mean, there's TikTok, there's Instagram Reels, there's Facebook Reels, there's YouTube Shorts. I mean, all of these are just bombarding us, right? So how do we as business owners then grab and garner attention from our audience? Well, this is just one of the pieces. I think other pieces that you probably talk about are doing videos, short form videos, doing a podcast like this. Build a community around your company and around your actual community. Be the authoritative figure there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you bring up something really interesting with video shorts and with TikTok, especially, just
Mhm.
as long as we're still allowed to use it. We don't like to get into politics too much here,
Yeah.
but there's nothing wrong with picking up your book, going to chapter whatever,
Mhm.
and you just summarize it, and then go on to TikTok and talk about that. I mean, there's a phenomenal marketer that many of you have heard of. His name is Dennis Yu. And Dennis Yu came up with this content factory idea. And it's all about repurposing your content. So if you write a book, now you have a blog article. If you have a blog article, now you can rewrite that as a press release. If you have the press release, now you can talk about it, and let's go on YouTube and make a video. Oh, and now we can download that MP3 from the video, and we have a podcast. So the book, even though it does take a while and there's a lot involved in it, I think that you can really leverage it.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you've done that yourself.
Absolutely. Leverage the dickens out of it, man. Like you said, put it in your email signature, put it on your website, put it, pin it up to the top of your Facebook page. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, there's just a million different things that you can do regarding your book and how to use it and leverage that. I mean, every single video that I do, I literally say, "Hey, this is Chris with Chief Marketing Officer of roofingsites.com. I'm also the author of the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers." And then I show it to them because people having a physical copy of a book is way different in this day and age than having an
Mhm.
ebook, right?
Oh
Ebooks
yeah.
were big 10 years ago, but now you really need that physical book.
Well, take it a step further is how many people have and I forget what the name of the program is, but download the unlimited Kindle or whatever it is, where I can download everything I want for free. I just pay my $10 a month. And I think that there is something when there's value, when you have to pay $3, $5 for a
Mhm.
physical product, it holds more value than I downloaded this and 18 other books last week, and I
Yeah,
might read one of them.
right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Can't tell you how many I have on my phone that I said that about. And, you know, but maybe someday I'm going to take a trip to Australia just so I can sit on a plane for 18 hours and I have a reason to actually read one of them out.
Yeah. And I'm the same way with Audible books. I'll be like, oh, I need to listen to that one. I need to listen to that one. And they just pile up because you get those 2 credits every single month, And so I use those things quite a bit, but I do listen to a lot of books. You just don't have enough time to listen to all those books,
Right. But at least when you're listening, you can do that in your car. You can do that when you're working.
Right.
I can't be working and reading at the same time. So when you have that, when you've actually written the book, it's that added authority. This is something that you need to set aside time for.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to compel people to actually then go ahead and set aside the time.
Yeah.
But I think that, being able to leverage a book, you're able to generate interest, you're able to become the authority in your space, the most well-known, whatever the heck it is that you are.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've made a few bucks on my book on Amazon. People have bought it.
Mm-hmm.
I find that kind of hard to believe, to be honest. But I've even thought about running ads on Amazon. Haven't done that yet. I don't know if you have.
I have not done that yet. No.
We do run Amazon ads for clients who, they're in the cabinet space and they want to sell their cabinets. So, if you can do it for, I've sold doorknobs on Amazon. You'd think you could sell your own book on it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't really know anything about Amazon ads personally, which is why I've stayed away from them. Facebook ads right now are working. Yeah. I think Facebook ads are working really, really well. I think that the next step for us is really to leverage the book inside of maybe some LinkedIn outreach for us personally. And to see if people, would want that book, and just simply having someone reach out to, offer that. And it's really for us as marketers, there's so many people in our industry nowadays, and it's possible it's the same, in kitchen remodeling, but I think that having that piece, and I know I keep saying this, but having it to set you aside is huge. It is a huge thing, and it's been huge for us. I mean, just even in the past year. So
that's fantastic. Well, Chris, this has just been unbelievable. I mean, I'm learning so much just talking to you today. I mean, even though I've actually written my book, you're bringing up things that I didn't even think about, which I love anytime I can learn anything new. And I know that our audience loves it. I mean, in fact, you have dropped some real knowledge bombs on us today. I'm sure that my audience would maybe want to get a little bit more information on this from you. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, they want to talk to you, how would they do that?
Sure. Just go to roofingsites.com or you can just email me at chris.hunter, chris.hunter @roofingsites.com. Or you can go find us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. Just look up roofingsites.com or Roofing Sites. We're not real good on making sure that it's all the same.
And if they want just to hear you talk, because you have so much great things to say, you got a podcast too, do you not?
I do. I've actually got 2 podcasts. The first podcast is something that I've been doing for the past couple of years, where I interview successful Aggie entrepreneurs. I'm an Aggie from Texas A&M University. Whoop! And so I've interviewed over 100 really, really successful Aggie entrepreneurs. And little tidbit there is that I surveyed all of them, and about 90% of them are on EOS, right? Entrepreneurs Operating System. So my next podcast.
Not to interrupt you, but guys, in about 2 weeks, we have the expert on EOS, Lynn Askin, coming on the podcast. So you got to check that out.
Lynn's cool. Yeah.
Lynn, I had to do that.
100%. Lynn knows his stuff, and he's got a really interesting story.
Matter of fact, wasn't he on your podcast?
He was. He came on my podcast a few weeks ago. It's good, and that podcast is going to drop here probably the next week or two. I've got to get it over to my podcast editor for that.
Awesome. So I didn't mean to spoil anything. Then
no,
I apologize.
No, it's cool. He's got a really cool story. So definitely tune in whenever you hear it here on.
I use the term inspirational, actually talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it tears me up every time.
I'm not going to spoil what he's going to say, because we both know what it is. is.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
My other podcast, I'm literally just in the starting stages with that, called Roofer Growth Hacks, because I'm so really good with names of a podcast. So I went with Aggie Growth Hacks and then Roofer Growth Hacks. So the idea there, the idea is about the same. We're going to interview successful roofing company owners, figure out what makes them tick, and get their growth hacks and share them out with everyone. But also meeting with industry experts as well. So Lynn is one of my first industry experts that has come on the podcast. So that's cool.
That's fantastic. Well, Chris, I said, I want to thank you for everything that you shared with us. This was so great. I'm sure that my listeners really appreciate it. I know they got value out of it today. Hopefully we can have you come back sometime and talk about some other marketing ideas, because we're both in the industry, and it's always great to kind of share and see what's working in one industry and how you can leverage it in another. For everybody else, I want to thank you for tuning in, for listening to the Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling podcast. It was Chris Hunter. It's Mike Goldstein. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.